Money is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. She is the author of the book You've Got the Magic. Who Need a Genie? No other than Miss Corbie Mitleid. Welcome to Book 101, Miss Corbie, and can you please introduce more about yourself?
Yes. I am a certified Tower Master, past life specialist, psychic medium, and channel. I've been reading since 1973 when I was 18. I'm 70. The book, You've Got the Magic Who Needs the Genie, was written because up until COVID, I was on the road 45 weekends a year doing psychic expos, spiritual uh, events, and my nickname was the Travel Channel. So when I hung up my traveling, I said, I have 18 years of 45 weekends a year on the road. There's no other book out there that is specific to the spiritual and metaphysical business. And so I wrote it. There's no need for everybody else to reinvent what I went through.
Miss Corbie Mitleid, thank you so much for empowering us. Thank you for sharing your book to the world. So, what is the core message of You Got the Magic?
The core message is you don't need an MBA, you don't need tons of courses. You realize you are an intuitive counselor or a vendor of metaphysical gifts or a practitioner, Reiki, massage, things like that. We are a specific business niche. And when we go out and do a trade show, which is what these fairs and expos are, you're not going to be like the person who is selling cookware or vacations. You're selling something that very few people understand. So you have to go into the business ready to be absolutely transparent, explain what you do. And for instance, setting up your booth as a psychic medium is going to look very different than the person who does wedding favors. So there's a lot of discussion about how to present, how to dress, how to choose which shows you do, how to choose your front person. Because if we're sitting there reading with a client, we're not going to be able to talk to the people who are passing by the booth. And because people who do this kind of work probably don't come from a corporate background, though I did for years, they need to understand things like branding, networking, how to work with your colleagues. And that was everything that I put in the book, plus certain things that were absolutely unusual, but it's what we do. And things like that, I have little vignettes that are called Corbie Gets Candid.
So, Miss Corbie, how does the revised edition differ from the original version?
How has technology changed since the original version was written and finished about 4 months before what I cheerfully call the years of murder hornet bingo and hold my beer? So that was in 2019, 2020, and this was 2024. Since then, for instance, I used to record on a CD. I had a portable CD player so that the client could take home their readings. These days, CDs are obsolete. Everybody records on their phone. I was much more conscious for the revised version to make sure that it wasn't particularly, um, I'll say sexist, but I mean, I learned to use gender neutral terms as opposed to he said, she said.
Yes.
And there are new methodologies, new avenues for business. TikTok was not around in
That
2019.
time.
Now it's here.
True. True. So, what is meant by the term A-lister in the context of holistic expos?
All right. This comes a little bit from my acting background. I was a theater major at Brown University and acted in New York professionally for several years. The A-listers are the ones everybody knows.
True.
They're the ones who are in all of the movies: George Clooney, Angelina Jolie, things like that. A-listers for music would be Lady Gaga, Taylor Swift. And so A-listers in this sense are the intuitives that have the best reputations. They've been around for some time, they're not rookies, and they're the ones that clients trust. So when I say I'm an A-lister, what that means is I have been doing this work for half a century. I was on the road for 20 years full time. So when I walked in, people knew me. I had a brand, I had a lot of publicity, I'd written books, I was in a major international best-selling series. So I was considered an A-lister. If people were choosing, I would always be the one working, even when it was a bad show. And by bad show, I mean not many people came through the door, and a lot of people didn't even make enough to cover their booth fee. I would always be fine. I would always be reading open to close, only because I had been doing it for so long and people got the confidence level.
So, Ms. Corby, let's talk about the practical strategies of the book. What are the most important steps for preparing for a successful expo appearance?
Well, that is boot camp. That is the very, very first chapters. You have to choose which fairs to do. For instance, do you want to travel? Do you want to be able to fly to a show or just drive? I had enough equipment that it didn't make sense for me to fly because I couldn't make any money. I'd be paying $2,000 for shipping everything. So I chose the size I wanted to do. I chose shows that were 2 days or longer, so it would be worth the drive. I looked at the area. Um, Reading in a place like Boston, which is intellectual, cultural, they will be a very different crowd than if I'm reading in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. So you get a feel for the demographics. Then you design your booth, and it's a matter of, frankly, what colors do you look good in? What kind of fabric? What's your signage look like? How do you want to structure your booth? A lot of people um, just read in the back. I made sure that I read off to the side so my front person had room to work. How you dress. I often talk about there's the California look, which is glitter and fringe. I'm from New York. I'm Manhattan. So my uniform was always black tank top, black slacks, and a really good looking coat, velvet in the winter, something like this for the summer. And I wrote a complete job description for your front person so that they knew how to sell you, book you, how to deal with your booth, how to keep people from interrupting you when you were working. It's really an art. So that was the very first thing that people needed to learn so that when they walked in, they could at least put their foot in the door and start working right away.
Very well said, Miss Corby. Very well said. So, how can vendors effectively stand out in a crowded expo environment?
Uh, they have to look professional. There have been some places where I see people in uh, puffy uh, t-shirts or sweatshirts and sloppy pants. You
Yes.
have to look confident. You can't look desperate. That's the thing that a lot of rookies do is it's, oh my God, if I don't get a client, how am I going to pay my bill? No, it's a matter of being welcoming. The thing that people are amazed at with me is I'm funny. I mean, I've done stand-up comedy about you think a psychic's life is easy. But what that
Really?
does is it makes me very practical. You sit down with me, I'll say, what's the most important thing you want to walk out of here knowing? Because we only have a certain amount of time. And if you go blank on me, I'll go Brooklyn on you and go, darling, what's biting your butt? Because everybody can, I've got something to tell you for that. I'm extremely practical. I don't do a lot of smoke and mirrors kind of thing. And I tell people I do 4 things. Your everyday tour bus, house, car, job, kids, finances. Okay, God, you put me here. Now what? Past lives, spirit guides, and dead people. So when you put it that way to them, they realize that you're not going to try to bamboozle them the way a lot of people do. Some of the bad things I've seen are the ones who lean over the desk and say, there's a black cloud around you. I think we need to talk so you can avoid this curse. You know, the reason that I wrote one of my other books, true story, this was in Toronto, 250 booth show, and I adored the promoters. They were fabulous, but you can't vet 250 people. So I was across from one of the fake gypsies, and a woman who had paid her admission fee was looking down the aisles, and the fake gypsy runs out, grabs her arm and says, you don't need to pay 30, 40, $50. I read your palm for 10. Come. Drags the woman into the booth. 20 minutes later, we see this woman leaving crying hysterically. And we rush over and we find out that the gypsy told her, yes, she had a family curse. And if she didn't burn 400 specially blessed candles in the Roman Catholic Church, which the gypsy would bless for $1 a candle, her entire family was going to die in a car accident in 2 weeks. And the woman bought it. That's not a professional. That's a scam artist. And if you come across that desperate or that smarmy, you may get readings there, but you'll never get readings again. You come across, you are interested in the client, you want the best for them, you don't want to amaze them with your wiki woo, you are there in service. And I guarantee you, you will have people out the door in line waiting for you. That's the thing.
Certainly.
You have to know who you are.
Definitely. Honesty is the best policy. So let's talk about holistic business and communication. How did you incorporate holistic principles into business practices?
I made sure that I respected myself as well as respected other intuitives. For instance, if you ask me about a serious health problem, that's not my skill set, but I know someone who is. So I would direct you to my friend Stacy Wells, that I consider one of the best medical intuitives in the US. You don't take money for what you cannot provide.
Hmm.
You make sure that you have a concept that's clear. I have always used a raven in my business as part of my branding. This is why. Also, I love ravens. Corbie is an entertainer's name, and Corbie means raven in Gaelic. Mitleid happens to be German, and it means compassion, to remind me why I do the work I do. So that's part of it. You need to have rack cards. These are information like that, professionally printed, that talks about what you do. And if you can put some testimonials on them, that's great. And I have a couple of examples in the book.
Great.
The one in blue is my personal card. The one in gold talks about doing psychic events. I have done Fortune 500 Christmas parties. I have done health and wellness lectures. And the more professional you look, the less cutesy, glurpy purple with angels, the more likely it is you're going to get work, because look like a professional, they'll treat you like a professional, and they will pay you like you're a professional.
So, Ms. Garvey, what advice did you offer on pricing, selling, and offering services during expos?
Uh, Play fair to pay fair. And by that, I mean you have to charge fairly, and fairly means fair to you. I guarantee you, you will find people coming up to you, treating you like you're a burger, a latte, or a car wash. They're not respecting you. And they'll say things like, well, you're just sitting around, so why don't you do something for half price for me? Or they'll say, well, my friend and I want to come in, but how about we only pay you for one of us? Or, what do you mean you won't read me for free? You're not very spiritual. And I flip that and I say, let's take a mundane business. Would you say to a hairdresser, well, you're not doing anything right now. Do my perm for half price. At least you'll get some money. Or to the plumber, I know I called you for the dishwasher, but could you fix my shower while you're here and only charge for one service call? And my favorite, to your doctor. What do you mean I have to pay you? You're not very compassionate. You don't care if I get sick and die, do you? And, any standard professional would look at you like you're crazy. No, you pay for these things. Now, that's the way it goes. Um, I've had people come up to me and say, okay, well, you want me to have a reading here? Tell me something you couldn't know about me. And if you're right, I'll have a reading. And I look at them and I smile and I say, I'm sorry, I don't roll over and fetch either. And I turn my back and they do not get a reading. You have to treat yourself with respect. Is you don't, your clients won't feel a need to. It's that simple.
Simple but effective. Beautifully articulated, Miss Corbie. Very well said. So, how does the book suggest handling competition in a positive, collaborative way?
Look, there are a lot of people out there who don't believe what we do. We have to stick together.
True.
Like I said before, if it's something I don't do, I'll recommend somebody else, but only after I have used their services myself so I know who I'm recommending. I will not diss another psychic unless I see them as a danger to a client. There was a gentleman, he has since passed, who used to do past lives for young girls and very lurid past lives where he said, and I still own you kind of thing. Well, he is no longer in the business. We got rid of him. Um, so there are always the exceptions, but we're a team. We are all a team. If I can suggest somebody else, I'll do it. My reading style is such that there are certain people who will want to come to me, and there are certain people who want the sweetness and light, which I joke and say, "Hi, my name is Little Dancing Raccoon, and here's my spirit guide Arctic Bear." I'm sorry, I'm from New York. I'm way too serious for that. But there are some people that desperately need that kind of chirpy stuff. Fine, let them be well. That's okay. Um, the most important thing is network with your fellows. They may have information that's useful to you or know about a show you'd like to do that you hadn't heard about. If there are rookies there, I made a point of introducing myself, asking how they're doing, bringing them over to my table, showing them how I set things up. It's very simple. Yeah, they've just started 2 years ago, and I've got half a century under my belt. But at 70, I'm not going to be here in 30 years, and they will. As an elder in the field, it is my responsibility to raise the youngins right. And so that's the other way that I network with other intuitives to help the next generation.
Yes, to empower each other. So, Miss Corby, what will be your short term and long term goals in writing?
Say that again, please. I missed that. What
What
would be
will
my
be your
goals?
yes, a short term and long term goals in writing as well as your profession?
In writing, there may be another book. I've written the three that I really needed to. At this point, I'm doing writing on Substack, Medium. I have uh, 17,000 people on TikTok, and there's that daily. YouTube. I also teach with Patreon. So at this point, the books are good, but remember that our attention span is less than a goldfish now. So I'm very more into the idea of writing essays, writing short pieces. Eventually, will they be a fourth book? Probably. But for right now, especially at 70, I want to get the information out as fast as I possibly can because who knows where the time goes, you know?
Yes, true. Good luck to your goals, Miss Corby. And how can readers use expos as a part of a long term business growth strategy?
When you travel, when you go to these expos, you're going to meet people that you wouldn't meet just working out of a store or working from home the way I do. I have international clientele. I do most of my business on Zoom now. But that puts you out into the world. It strengthens your ability to speak spontaneously, to perhaps work with a field that you don't know. No, I do not do spirit art. I have no talent that way. But if I work next to an intuitive with spirit art, it might give me some ideas about an article or my next book or a podcast. So it is in this world, we need each other now more than ever. So shows will put you out there, get you clients that you wouldn't have at home, and introduce you to other people in the field who could end up being your best friend or the gold mine for the information you didn't find yourself.
Totally agree, Miss Corby. But before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, Food 101, in its fifth season. People, fifth season, with Chef Alessandro, one of the specialty chef in our five-star hotel in downtown Toronto. Please do listen to our latest episode. We are reading our letter senders all over the world. So please do listen, Food 101, wherever you listen your podcast. So, Miss Corby, what final piece of advice did you give to help readers trust their own magic?
Nobody knows you the way you do. Nobody has lived your life, met your challenges, gotten your goals. So you have everything you need to create the persona, the branding, and the style for reading, vending, or practicing in health so that you can show people that your information, your work is really what they've been waiting for. Go out there, do it. Do not compare yourself with anybody else. Enjoy it. And remember, the magic truly is yours.
Certainly, Miss Corbie Mitleid. Thank you so much for sharing your magic to the world. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your books as well as your profession?
Everything can be found on my website, which is corbiemitleid.com. And be sure to look for me on TikTok and on YouTube.
Yes, people, let's support Miss Corbie Mitleid because if you support her, more and more and more empowering books to come as well, empowering advice to come. So, Miss Corbie, thank you so much for your time.
It was
More
a
to,
pleasure.
more to come, people. See you soon.